Number one is the person who is there for the tea.
Ooh, girl, tell me.
They want the hot goss. And so.
No, he didn't.
Exactly.
Keep going. Hi, I'm Michael.
I'm Eden.
And we are Majorly Married.
All right. I have something I need to tell you.
Yeah.
I think it's really important that we open up our marriage.
I am in total agreement, actually.
That's awesome. We should start talking about who.
I mean, definitely like my mom, your dad, your brothers, your sister. Like our families are definitely like the start.
I bet that's not where people thought we were going with this.
What do you mean? Clearly we are talking about your support system.
Yeah, opening up your marriage to your support system.
Yeah, you should be open about your marriage to the people that you trust.
Exactly.
Yeah, when people ask for open marriages, that's what they're talking about, right?
I think sometimes they have something else in mind, but
I don't understand. It's clearly about how do we be more monogamous and together and make sure that this relationship between us two goes nowhere, you know? That's what we really want to open our marriage to make sure our marriage is stronger.
My brain just went 10 different places. I wanted to counter your points, but that's not the point. We actually have a very specific point.
I mean, it's probably in the title of the episode.
What are we talking about?
Well, like I said, we're talking about your village.
Yeah. So when we were thinking about what a village means, we were realizing that as we were talking about just the relationships in our life, you mentioned parents, siblings, friends.
Yep.
They've had a lot of influence in our lives individually, but because of that, they've had a lot of influence on our marriage. And that is kind of what kicked all of this off for us. It really came from me telling you actually a story. We were chilling on the couch. And I was like, did I ever tell you about the time? And I told you about a time I was meeting up with a friend. Mm-hmm. And I had been going through a little bit of a vulnerable time in our marriage. I already am emotional.
You're so dramatic, Eden.
Stop it.
No, you're not dramatic.
But I do have more of an emotional range.
Sure.
Than maybe, or I'm more...
Because I'm basically a robot. So
I feel an emotional range, and I like to verbally process it. Yeah. I will process everything that I'm feeling. So even if something's not a massive problem at that present moment, sometimes I still need to talk it through with somebody to be like, help me think through what this is. And talking to you about that thing prematurely, it would just possibly result in a big fight or offense or hurt or whatever. And so...
It was something that we had agreed upon kind of early where we can go to each other about almost everything, but it's a little awkward to go to you about you.
Yeah.
So you're not going to verbally process to me about me.
I remember getting advice from your aunt when we were engaged. And she had said one time that she was like, remember that your spouse is always your best friend. But it was about... calling out to your spouse in the middle of a really big fight and be like, hey, I need to talk to my best friend right now because my husband's really pissing me off. And just kind of bringing that back. But
yeah, you do
need people outside of your spouse being best friend and spouse. You need more people than that.
Yeah.
So
you were talking to your friend.
I was telling you about that time that I talked to somebody, processed with them, and it was not a massive situation. We were not having a massive fight. It was just a small insecurity on my part.
Yeah.
And was going to them because I was like, they have experience. They're one of my
older.
Yeah, they're one of my good friends. And essentially it was maybe you should leave him. And I was like, hold the phone. What? I should leave him? And I mean to tell you, for the next like week, it plagued me. I thought about it day and night. Every time that situation kind of came up, I was like, did I marry the wrong person?
I mean, they said maybe I should leave.
It had me really second guessing my own judgment for a second.
Was this when we were already married or dating?
No, we'd been married for like a couple years.
This was like a couple months ago? What the heck? Okay, this is new information. I thought we were like engaged or something.
No.
My gosh.
Stop.
Look, I know you've been married, but like dump his ass.
It was,
So.
I think it was just, they had come from their own place of hurt in that area.
Yeah.
They had their own experience, and in their experience, it was better to just not deal with that anymore. And they're happier now. And
Yep.
so it's kind of like, girl, you don't need that. And I
Well, I
told
remember when
you
you told
about
me
that.
about it, and when it comes to a support system, like I'm not gonna lie, there are times that I am afraid of your support system. Ultimately, it comes down to trust. Like I trust you, and I trust that when you get advice to dump his ass over a small thing, you're not going to immediately take it. Unless maybe I did something so bad that like it made sense. But I was offended because I'm like, I don't think I did anything terrible. I don't even remember what it was.
I don't actually know that I told you all of the details of what it was.
Regardless, it had never really come up between us.
Yeah.
At that point. So we hadn't even discussed whatever this issue was. And so, yeah, I think I was a bit offended that I was not taken into account. Maybe my side of the story wasn't listened to, or that fear that what if you did take that advice?
Yeah.
And that's where a support system to me is so great, but also a bit scary.
Yeah. I definitely realized
Or
at that
dangerous.
point that, when I received that advice, not everybody that I go to, not everybody who listens to me and speaks into my life is going to be a safe person for my marriage.
And that's where you kind of, when we started talking about this, you had mentioned there are people that can be dangerous in your village, like dangerous to your marriage. And I think it's key to take a step back that these are not horrible people. They're not trying to hurt you. They're not trying to hurt your marriage.
Yeah.
They're trying to help in their own way. Mm-hmm. It just might be a little bit misguided. As we started talking about this, you really came up with like 5 types that can honestly do real damage if going unchecked.
Yeah.
What was the first one?
Well, before we dive into that,
Yeah.
if you guys are enjoying this conversation and you've been intrigued to hear a couple talk honestly about their marriage and give some of the tips, tricks, pitfalls, everything we're kind of going through and want to hear more, please like, subscribe, share away. Also, we do have a website that is a pretty fun thing that we put together for you guys that has just more content for each of these episodes, some discussion there, and then also resources, different guides, articles, just things that you and your spouse can use to grow together.
Yeah, we'll talk about it later, but we put a little workbook together on this topic of your support system. It's linked in the description, but we like it.
Yeah.
Go to the website and check it out, majorlymarried.com.
Yeah. So
Cool. Jump in. What is the
Let's get to
first
these, yeah.
type of dangerous village member?
the evil. No, number 1 is probably one of the most common. Mm-hmm. It is the person who is there for the tea.
Ooh, girl, tell me.
They want the hot goss. And so
No, he didn't.
Exactly.
Keep going.
it's the stuff of teenage sleepovers where it was all night long. You just kept talking.
Just
and,
gossiping and gossiping.
Right. Just
Yeah.
like teenage sleepovers. Somehow that story that you told at 3 a.m. got around. And so, yeah, you go to that person and you tell them something confidential about your marriage. And you are assuming that you're talking to somebody who's going to hold that in confidence. And
They're locking it in the vault.
they seem so eager to listen to you. I think that's what's like
They're like,
confusing
"Ooh,
about it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Tell me.
But they're intrigued because they're enjoying watching the reality TV show of your life and marriage. And they are waiting for the drama because they want to tell somebody else. And it makes them feel important somehow in the midst of it.
I mean, you're going to them, fueling an ego, maybe.
Yeah. And the problem with that, kind of the result of that person in your life and in your marriage, is that it erodes trust with you and that person, for sure.
Yeah.
If you take
if they tell your story to somebody else, that's horrible.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I think also it starts to erode trust with your partner. Assuming word gets out, gossip gets around, you end up hearing it and you say, what the heck, Eden? Like, you told them?
Imagine, like, from our Sex and Insecurities episode, imagine if I told you an insecurity of mine and you were processing it with a friend, and then they went and told a bunch of other people my insecurity.
You don't want everybody to know about your kinks?
And whips. But it would erode trust between us too, because I would say to you, I'd say, Eden, how could you get my insecurity out there? I feel even more insecure about it now that
it's maybe not that you wouldn't have been okay with me sharing with my village, but you weren't okay with sharing it with the whole freaking world.
Exactly.
So yeah, that's number one. The tea drinker and spiller.
Yeah, I think the second type is the person with the bias. So that bias squad. I think many times these are people that you have in your village before you've ever entered a relationship, a marriage, those long-standing friends. Their bias is you. If I've had a friend for 20 years, honestly, they may take my side on almost everything. And that probably is not going to be helpful. I think you would reference this as the person with the getaway car at our wedding. The person who's like, if you need Eden, like, I'll be the driver to the getaway car if you need to get out of here. And while those people are helpful when you're maybe a single person, they can be scary when you're in a relationship because they may take one side. They're keeping score. They're fueling that pride and selfishness within you. And honestly, if you're going about, like, for you need to verbally process, they may not help you see from my point of view.
Right. They keep you at the center of the story. You have that main character energy that you already feel. They drive it home. Exactly. Yeah. It's hard because those are the relationships that feel sometimes the most special. And you think they are automatically the most safe. And it's not to say that that someone being for you is not a good thing. It's just, are they also for your marriage? Yeah. Yeah. Number 3 would be
to go along with.
Yeah, it's really closely connected.
Yeah.
Number 3 is the person with the agenda. And I kind of said it in the same way, the person who's just the judge. Mm-hmm. So I think about this as someone with a very distinct worldview who has kind of a mission to bring as many people as possible into that worldview. Sometimes that might be something like a religious framework, but I think outside of that, it's also values within marriage maybe, or beliefs on how communication should really be done. And they read this book and they're going to preach it till kingdom come. Yeah. And so as they are listening to your story, they cannot separate their belief system and your situation. And I mean, sure, we all look through our own lens. That's going to happen for everybody. But it's almost an intentional action to look through their lens and try to figure out, how do I use this, this vulnerable moment. That sounds manipulative, but gosh, I've accidentally done it before. How do I use this moment where they're sharing something vulnerable and weak to teach my point, teach my perspective, bring them into my worldview, even if that's not ultimately what's in their best interest. It's just because I think it's in their best interest.
It's sort of like the person who is divorced and they think everybody should be divorced. Because my life got so much better.
Ball and chain.
My life got so much better when I finally just dumped my husband. And men are just ridiculous. Yeah. So, honestly, you might be happier if you just left him.
Yeah. I mean, those agendas can really range. I think I say that as
it can range from religious agendas to political to lifestyle to just random values. Everybody, like you said, everybody has an agenda. It's just making sure that it's not hurting your marriage.
I think about this, and I think it can go in both directions, heterosexual relationships and then homosexual or queer relationships, where maybe the other side is so focused on making space for their way of going through marriage that if someone expresses a vulnerability in theirs where they're having questions or, if a girl was to be talking to their friend and say, I'm struggling with just I don't feel as attracted to my husband these days. Something just feels off and I don't know what's going on. Maybe if they're yes, because I think I've always kind of thought it, but I think you might be gay.
Oh, yeah. The other direction you can go is humans are not monogamous creatures.
Yeah.
You're not meant to only have one partner for the rest of your life, Eden.
Yeah, there's so many. I think that's what I mean, where it's not necessarily just I think it can go the opposite way. That was not to say there is a gay agenda. I don't believe that.
No.
Got to clarify that one.
No. It's purely people with an agenda. Yeah. That's the point, is it can be related to anything.
Yeah.
I think, kind of going back to those types, I think the fourth type of person that I feel also pops up a lot is the fixer.
That's everywhere.
I will purely admit that I think I can fall into this category often, where I think a lot of people can, but I know I can, where it is, well, why don't you just do this? It is rushing to solve the problem, solve the pain. They're not able to sit in that tension long enough to let growth happen. Sometimes, I'll speak for myself. When I may be discussing something with someone they're having issues and they're discussing the issue, I'm not giving it enough time to fully understand the story, fully understand their side, their partner's side. And so I may rush to, well, have you asked them this, or have you done this? Or, you can always just XYZ.
What you really should do is...
Yeah.
Right.
What worked for me is X. And I think what that can result in for the person who's going to someone with an issue is honestly eroding trust in that person. And then you may start to just kind of fake it with them. You'll start to tell them less. You'll start to tell them, I'm fine. Don't worry about it. As soon as they start to throw solutions, sometimes you shut down. I've been on the other side of that too, where someone is just offering solution. I'm just yep, okay, cool, all right, yeah, I'll think it through. And because I didn't get to speak on the three other points of the issue.
And perhaps you were just looking to vent and you needed to just process, and they were processing for you, and they were not processing with your brain.
Yeah.
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 I think on that point where it can really be dangerous for your marriage to have a village full of fixers is if you get to that point where you start faking it with those people and you start distancing yourself from them emotionally and from that idea of like not being receptive to advice, you literally are also walling yourself off and you're no longer receptive to advice. If you've got that defense mechanism up where someone, as soon as they say, well, have you considered, and you're like, la, 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 like you might actually need a fixer to come in and give some good, solid, like, no, you need this. And if you've already gotten in that position to say, I don't want to hear it from you.
And I know there's one last type, but I think the last three, the bias squad, the one with the agenda, and the fixer, I think a lot of times they can be blended. So I may have somebody who is also like a fixer, but they're also pushing their agenda based on their bias.
Yes.
So
yes.
they quickly are throwing out a solution like, well, you should just dump him.
Yeah.
And they're bringing their agenda because they believe that, men are evil and should be divorced, or they're also pushing their bias that, divorce is better.
And you're the shit and you don't need no man. And,
Yeah, and they can be the always in your corner person. So a lot of while we put these in 5 categories, a lot of them are blended.
Yes, absolutely.
What's that last one? Because I actually do think this one is different.
Number 5 is the person who is there for the highlight reel. They want your best hits and they don't like the sad songs.
They're there for the good times.
Yeah, I think about it as a classic unhealthy Enneagram 7. The person who's like, give me
that means nothing to me.
I have tried so hard to teach you
also
Enneagram.
tried to find out my Enneagram, and I'm apparently a blended, so.
And not just like the normal blend, like you need to take it again.
Yeah.
Because I think maybe you just weren't self-aware enough to get accurate results. Because that broke my brain. We were dating when you did it though.
We did it once. I was like a 5 or something, 4. I don't even remember.
You were not a 4. Mm-mm.
Oh, sorry. Okay, yeah. Another episode. We'll tackle this. I was a 9 and another number.
A 9 and a 5 and a 6 and a 1. Someone, if you can explain that to us. Okay. Anyways, to the point.
We'll do an episode where we just like do it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
All
okay.
right.
So
they're there for the good
reel.
times, not a long time.
Yes. They kind of, yeah. They are totally game to hear about how things are going and celebrating the highs and being like, oh my gosh, that's so exciting. And
yeah.
but when you're like, so I think our finances are really affecting our marriage. And I think I need to ask him to get a different job, but I just don't know how to have that conversation.
They're
and
the
they're
ones
like,
who are.
Ooh.
Yeah, I see this as the people who kind of, they also may not know how to engage, and so they go, I'm sorry, that's hard.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then as you keep going through that period of time, and it starts feeling like every time they talk to you, you're still like in this funk. And instead of recognizing like, oh, they're going through a hard time, how can I be there for them? It's like, oh, they're going through a hard time and that makes me uncomfy, so I'm just gonna distance. And so if you've got a village full of highlight reel people, while that can feel really good when you're going through a good time, if they can't show up during the hard time, you will lose all of your support system and you will be isolated in one of your most vulnerable moments. And when you're isolated,
in the time that you actually need that support system, they're not there.
I firmly believe isolation in marriage, where you don't have anyone and you are going through a hard time, is a very dangerous place to be. Because if the wrong person then presents themselves as a support system for you, that can be very, very dangerous. So, this one was kind of interesting to me to think through.
So, I guess why? Why do we let those people stay in our support system? Why do they develop, and why do we keep them around?
Yeah, when we know it's not working.
Yeah. I think one of the first reasons is, honestly, we're scared of boundaries. We're scared to set the boundaries. We're scared to tell that person, hey, here's the line in the sand. I need you to not cross it.
Yeah, the people pleaser who doesn't know how to say no.
And I think in a lot of ways that's both of us. We're both people pleasers in a way. We don't want to offend the people that we're talking to. So they may be a fixer or one with an agenda, and we struggle to tell them, hey, I think you're bringing your agenda into this topic. And I think you need to, can you help me see it from my partner's point of view? It's hard to say that to somebody.
Yeah, or you're afraid of disappointing them. And so you start performing for them instead of setting the boundary.
Telling a fixer, hey, I need you to not fix the problem. I really just need you to let me vent. And I'll ask you when I need help. That is drawing a line in the sand. And it's scary to do, especially when you're feeling vulnerable.
Yeah.
So I think we're sometimes just scared to set those boundaries.
Yeah. Another way I think we can still continue to keep those more dangerous voices, I will say. It's not that these are dangerous people. I want to reiterate that. They're not dangerous people. They can love you deeply and you can love them deeply.
And we'll get into the healthy side, and I think we'll explore why. These people aren't dangerous. How they can actually support in other ways too.
Right. So that other kind of reason why you might keep those people around would be a sense of loyalty, where they have been there for you in the past, or you have been friends since kindergarten, and they're your ride or die, and you're theirs, and all of a sudden something changed along the way, and they're not able to support you in the same way anymore, and you just don't know how to navigate it, and you kind of want to tune it out because they're your person. And
imagine if they helped you through trauma in the past. I mean, they helped you through some of the hardest times of your life, but now you're married and their voice may not help you in this new chapter.
right.
Especially if maybe they're not married and they don't understand and they're not also looking out for your marriage.
Right.
Kind of going along with that sense of loyalty, because a lot of times in my mind, I see the same people who are super loyal. They've been there 20 years. They take your side. It's those bias squad people. Sometimes it's very nice to have a yes man in your corner. I think it's I can't think of the word. It's one of the like 7 deadly sins. I'm thinking of, but it's I don't know. They validate you. Essentially, they validate you. Everyone likes to feel good. We want someone on our side, and so having that person who says, "Yes, you are so right. Like what you're thinking is so true." Wow, I can't believe your partner is doing that. Like they are the bad one. You are the good one. And sometimes that feels good because you want to be validated.
That always feels good.
I don't know. In that story that you told me, you mentioned how it didn't feel good. Somebody instantly took your side and you actually were a bit turned off by that.
Well, but to be fair, I think in that exact moment, it did feel good for a little bit to be like,
Yes.
yeah, I'm not crazy. You know,
Yeah.
when you are sharing something and someone goes, yeah, that is a big deal. And you're like, yeah, it is a big deal. I do deserve better. And you're thinking it's going to be like, so here's how you should talk to him about it. And they're like, so you should leave him. And you're like, wait, what?
You're like, so how do I approach this conversation? You don't. You leave him. You're like, I'm sorry. Wait, what?
Yeah. I don't know exactly where I was going with the rest of that sentence.
I don't know. I think we let those people stay for many different reasons. Those are a couple. Those are 3 reasons why. I think there's a plethora of other reasons. We like fixers because maybe they give us solutions quickly.
And they take that off your back. You don't have to do the thinking. They do the
Especially
thinking for
if a fixer tells you what you want to hear. Like, I had already kind of solved the problem in my head, and if they came up with it like that, hey, you just validated my idea. Sounds good.
Dude, and for me, I used to go to my fixers in the past, and I mean like pre-marriage, just like
Yeah.
in my own circle. And I would go to them because I didn't want the responsibility and the accountability on me of I made this decision. I am responsible and accountable for it. I wanted to be like, well, they told me that I should do this. And I always thought it was kind of sus, but
Like, Eden, I'm leaving you. It's not my decision. Hey, I mean, I wasn't choosing it, but I was being told it's the right thing to do.
yeah, yes. No, I really struggled with that because I had a lack of confidence in myself and I
Yeah.
had my own fear and hesitations. So, yeah. So what does it look like then? We've kind of established there's dangerous relationships for your marriage. And there are legitimate reasons why we continue to cultivate those relationships or not kind of set boundaries and recognize that those people shouldn't be there. What does healthy look like? Are we just doomed to have a terrible village, or are we gonna actually have some valuable, beneficial relationships around us?
I'm going to preempt a topic a little bit later, but I think it is important that these dangerous village people, I'm going to keep reiterating this point, they may be helpful in particular areas that while they may not be the safest to go to on a topic about emotional availability of your partner, they may be the perfect person to go to and process about a career issue. Like, hey, I got a job in Seattle and I want to take it, but my wife doesn't want to, and I don't know how to handle that. They may be the perfect person to go to, deeply understanding, deeply like safe in that topic, but you go to them about, hey, I'm finding another person outside of my marriage attractive, and they may be the worst person in the world to go to about that because they're like, I mean, look, I cheat. I don't think it's bad. So they may be the terrible person to go to about that.
Yeah, you're right.
So when we think about healthy village, I think of it in context of the issue. So we'll talk about that. But kind of the opposite of everything we talked about, the safe person, I think first and foremost, they guard your story. They keep it between you or whoever you give permission. If I'm talking to you about an issue and I say, feel free to talk about it with your mom. You telling your mom about it now, I don't feel like you've betrayed my trust. If I'm talking just to you and go, hey, I'm having this sexual insecurity, and then you just went and told your mom, that's very different than me allowing somebody else to be in that conversation. And so that safe person will keep it between you, or they may ask, hey, do you mind if I process this with somebody else?
Yeah. Is there what would be like number 2?
Yeah, I think the second person or the second feature is that they're balanced, and I think it's balanced perspective. We mentioned this before. It is that, are they able to show you the other perspective? It's very nice to have a yes man. It's very nice to have somebody who is on your side, but are they on your marriage's side? Are they fueling division, or are they trying to help you understand your partner, help you see the entire picture? So if I'm going to my mom about an issue and she is able to say, well, Eden might be feeling this. She is helping me see your side of the story and giving me perspective where I might be heated about something. And then I go, yeah, you're right. I guess Eden actually has a point there because she helped me see that other side. It's balanced.
Yeah. I think that's where also you get people from different life seasons who could be really valuable in your village. And this isn't one of the people that, one of the village people that we've officially categorized, but when you talk about someone who's balanced, I think about someone who may have a little bit of wisdom and experience to look at that and say, either to put things in perspective or the way they balance isn't just going to be like, here's the two sides, but it can be balancing your fear with hope, or balancing your anger with forgiveness. But yeah, number 3, I would say, is a grounded person. Personally, I have been kind of accused, I will say, of going on the emotional roller coaster, where I will be up and down, and I would love for my people to go on the ride with me and just be like, oh yes, we hate him, and oh no, you love him so much, that's amazing. And like, oh, that's terrible, you should definitely, like, whatever.
They're almost mirroring your emotions and your perspective.
Yeah. Because I will go through the whole process and they go on it with me. And go ahead.
No, I remember you using that roller coaster analogy with me early-ish in our relationship. I think we were engaged at that point, but you had mentioned you liked how I didn't go on the roller coaster, but I also acknowledged that a roller coaster was happening.
Yeah, and you let me tell you all about my roller coaster. And
you were doing this, and I was like, yep, sounds good. Yeah.
Yeah. And so that grounded person is exactly kind of what you were just describing. The person who keeps both feet on the ground of reality while you are maybe swirling, very legitimately swirling. They're the person who's able to be reasonable and safe and honest and fair and give perspective when you are in a rough place.
Yeah.
If you're spiraling and afraid and triggered, you need that person who's going to say, you're safe, you're okay. Here's what you do know about your relationship. Here are, the vows that you made, and he has proven that he has loved you in these ways. And that's assuming that is the warranted and right advice,
Yep. And I think that's such a key point. It's really, really hard to determine, is somebody a dangerous person because they're a fixer, or are they actually giving nuanced advice coming from years of wisdom? I think that is something that's built over time. Trust with that person in your circle.
And it's their characterization, the way they go about some of these things. All of those things. You need a hype man sometimes. You need, I agree.
Yeah. But I find one thing that when mentioning like the roller coaster and the grounded person, something else that I think of, we are referencing a lot of the bad times and issues, and those are the troughs in the roller coaster. They can also be the person that can bring you back down from cloud 9, which sounds like a bad thing, but I think at times that can be a really good thing. That is helping you keep in perspective. I've been going out with this person for a week. I am going to marry them in Vegas next week. And it's, hey, I get that it's great times. That's awesome. Just want to give the other perspective.
Yeah.
How much do you know this person? Like, have you discussed about the future? They're the person that may ground you from maybe going too quickly, being too ecstatic about something.
Yeah. I think a marriage situation that fits that would be if you've been going through a difficult time and maybe there was infidelity in a relationship and you were in that trough like you were describing.
Yeah.
And then you decide the best way to fix that is you guys decided you're going to get pregnant.
Yeah,
like we're going to start trying. We're going to have a kid, and you're excited because now you feel connected and intimate, and you see a hope and a future.
Yeah.
And you have that person who's like, they cheated last month. Is that something that you're really ready to do? And not necessarily to say dump his ass, but to just give that perspective and balance and say, pump the brakes, let's talk about this.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. It does go both ways.
Yeah.
Number four, the fourth
Yeah.
type of person in the village that creates a stronger, healthy marriage for you is going to be a truth speaker.
Yeah.
That is something that I think is so important. That person who's going to look you in the eye and tell you that you are wrong. And it comes from a place of love. It comes from a place of trust. It comes from a place of compassion and empathy. It is not judgmental. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about that person that loves you so much and knows you so well that they know how to say the hard thing, and then they have the place to say it, and they choose to take action and actually do it. It's like all three of those pieces. That person does not just pop into your life on one random day. This is the person who could look you in the eye and say, you need to quit your job.
Yeah.
You need to be a stay-at-home mom, and your career's not wrong or whatever. You know, that person who can see clearly through the fog and tell you this is what's true.
I think of that truthful person also as the person who can acknowledge their own bias. Not that everybody every truthful person has to, but they're able to. Hey, I realize that I might be biased because of my religion or because of my lifestyle. But my perspective is XYZ.
Yeah.
So I think they're also able to just acknowledge truthfully in themselves and help you through understanding.
And this is the person that you are able to receive from.
Yep.
You have welcomed that. And you have already, I think in this relationship specifically, you have given them place. They explicitly know that they have permission to challenge you, to push you, to contradict you, and you want it from them. Not all the time, but when it's appropriate, you want them to do it. We talked about it, I think, in a previous episode, that sentence where we talked about with each other. This is kind of different from the village, but it's the concept of I want you to fight me for me.
Yeah.
That person who's willing to fight you, for your marriage.
Yeah.
And they'll piss you off to protect what's most important to you.
Yeah. And the last one that we have here for healthy people is consistency. I feel like it is those people that you truly feel like you can rely on. You can rely on them in the good times, and you can rely on them in the tough times. And they're going to be there. They're going to help see it through. They're not going to run away when an issue is maybe not in their wheelhouse, or they're not going to run away when things get tough. Truly, they are consistent, and you can just count on them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I know we've covered a lot so far. We've talked about different relationship types. We've talked about the different impacts that those can have on the most precious of your relationships, your marriage.
Yeah.
And so if you're sitting here listening to this conversation and kind of having this like aha moment and going, no wonder my relationships feel strained, or no wonder I don't feel support in my marriage. These are the people I've got speaking in. You can intentionally build a village. You're not just a victim to the people around you, you know? So how does someone, like, what are some tools that people can use to really build a village that is safe and healthy for them?
I think one of the key things is, this is the point that I said I'm gonna keep repeating. You don't have to cut these people off. You may just have to reevaluate and reposition them.
I love that.
Where are they? Where do they fit in your marriage and your village for support? I think this is where we kind of put that workbook together. That you can access on our website, majorlymarried.com, but also it is linked down in the description. But in this workbook, we decided to kind of split it into sections. Work with your partner. This is something that we call it a workbook because I think you and me, we could sit down and do it. So you and your partner sit down, print it out if you want, do it on a computer, whatever. But the first part is building that village map. So map out who are your people in your village. Your spouse will do who are their people in your village, in their village. And then lastly, there's that shared village. Who are the people that you and me both can go to about issues? Where, I may have my best friend, you're not going to my best friend for advice. You're going to your best friend, but your family. I can feel comfortable going to your family about issues. You can feel comfortable going to my family about issues. Those are shared. So that's step one. Build out that map. Discuss who makes sense. Two, there is a section on categories. Where do you and your partner actually feel comfortable with those people being added to your life? So that's where the repositioning comes in.
That literally could be an entire episode all on its own.
It can be. But some of the categories are parenting and kids. Do you feel comfortable with your friends, your family, or professional? I think that's actually something key that we haven't mentioned. Your therapist is somebody who's in your circle. Like they are part of village. They're part of your village. And there might be subjects that maybe I don't feel comfortable with you going to your friends or even your family about, that you have to have somebody. And so maybe there's a category for professional. And I think that's where, like, a therapist, I'd say, yes, go and discuss this issue with your therapist. But identify those people and categories that those people are in. Exclusions. So if I say, hey, Eden, I think go to your family, go to any family about finances, but Aunt Sally, she's kind of an unsafe person. Maybe don't go to her about financial issues. There might be people that you exclude, and it's not for any mean reason. It just might be, hey, in that category, I actually don't feel that they're the most safe person. So that's step 2. Step 3 is there's a little bit of a guide on how to approach your village appropriately. So different prompts, like going to them and saying, hey, I could use your advice on XYZ. But different ways that you can actually approach them. And then lastly, what we talked about, which is that true kind of breakdown of safe versus unsafe people.
Yeah. I'm excited to just kind of go back through that workbook together even.
Yeah.
I don't know that we've really sat down and talked through all of those aspects. Some of them we have just naturally, and that's kind of what spurred on the workbook, but for us to sit down and really do it. So kind of as we get close here to wrapping up, just taking a moment to kind of reflect on the village that you do currently have. I think everybody kind of has some semblance of a village, even if it's just your own 3 personalities.
Yep.
But some questions, some things to just reflect on. So who helps you feel level-headed and calm and at peace? And then who riles you up? Just taking that moment to recognize this person actually makes me feel safe. Mm-hmm. They bring me home. Who is keeping score in your marriage and taking sides and going, he did it once, he did it twice, he did it 3 times. He never, you always, that type of language, versus the person who helps you let go or helps you forgive. That
Move
person
on.
who, just, they love your partner too. And not that they're only for your partner, but they see both sides.
They help you see both sides.
Yeah. And then the last question that I would say to just kind of like pause and think through is, who do you need to protect your story from?
Yeah.
It might be time to have just that reality check for yourself. I think it probably will lead to conversations in the future, but just a hard moment of self-reflection to say, I've gone to this person before. They have proven time and time again that they actually aren't providing the value and benefit that I wanted them to provide. And
And I
just
think
recognizing that and letting that sit for a second and not defending them. I am so quick to defend, even when I am sitting there coming to a realization myself and being like, I think something needs to change here. And I'm like, but they always, don't defend them for a moment. Just sit in that.
And I think the who do I need to protect my story from right now? It's good as a individual reflection, but I think that's something that you and your partner can reflect on too. Who should we protect from our story? And I think that's acknowledging that maybe there's not people that either of us feel safe going to about a particular issue. And that's where maybe we need to seek professional help, whether it's couples therapy or individual therapy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, kind of wrapping this up here, to summarize, your marriage ultimately is going to be a reflection of the environment you surround yourself with. You cannot possibly ignore all of those voices. You shouldn't. Your village should be, like we talked about right at the top, joking about it. You should open up your marriage to influence from outside people. That should happen.
Your partner should not be your only village.
But be mindful of what you're opening yourself up to. Don't just fling the gates wide open. Your marriage is too important, too sacred, too beautiful to just leave it up to chance and to see who happens to show up.
Yeah. And I think the challenge to anybody listening, audit your village this week. If you want, go through that workbook with your partner and understand who adds peace, who is in that circle, who do I trust with my story.
And if you are sitting there going, I don't even know where to start, just start paying attention. That's it. Start paying attention and recognizing that actually, I don't know that was a healthy interaction. I don't know that was helpful. That was really good. I really needed that. That was so important for me. And value and treasure those relationships.
Yeah.
I think that covers it.
I think that's it. There's a lot more to building your support system for marriage that we will probably go through at another point in time. But I think it's good overall to just understand safe and unsafe people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If anybody has continued, well, I'm not going to say if anybody, of course people have listened all the way through. For those of you who are still hanging out with us, I would love to hear whether you guys would like to hear a new topic on just kind of like advice and wisdom that we've gained or lessons we've learned. We can't necessarily call it wisdom, but stuff we've picked up along the way. Or if you would just like to hear stories and insight into what our marriage is looking like. We try to do a little bit of both, but I'd love to hear kind of where you're at, what you're interested in right now.
Yeah. Leave a comment, reach out, let us know.
We care about you, so we will do our best to provide that for you.
And we'll be back next week with a fun topic.
Yep. Bye, guys.
Bye.